Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Zone 5/6, Northern Indiana. And the season is here. It is now Mother's Day weekend, so even here in Northern Indiana, it is a go to plant everything. Now, does that mean that we have to plant everything? Absolutely not. Now, you know that I am constantly talking about this. Oh, I forgot my water. You're going to have to wait 1 second. I got to get the water. Sorry. Okay, let's do the sound check real quick. Peppermint tea. Okay, what did I say during the sound check, my friends? Okay. We got a lot to talk about today because the season is in full swing. Thank you, Jay Dixon. I can always count on you. You are on it. Yes, got Chris Black, Donald Hughes, Ginia McDonald. Yes, Grateful Ed. Hello, my friend. Tigress Learning to Homestead. Hello. Okay. Jason Hetty. Yes, sound check work. Sounds good. So, guys, the season is here, all right? And it is the middle of May, and the last frost has passed, and it is time, officially, you can plant stuff out. Now, heat-loving stuff. Our cold-loving stuff has already been out for like a month. So, if you don't already know that, if you're just beginning, that's perfectly fine. But there is a distinction between the stuff that you hear, oh, you can't plant out until Mother's Day. They're talking about frost-sensitive stuff, heat-loving stuff, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, eggplants, squash, all of that kind of stuff, marigolds. That if they get a frost, then they're dead. And they don't even like it if it gets in the 30s at all. But you can plant out things like onions and brassicas, the cabbages, and most of the leafy greens, all that kind of stuff. You can plant that out clear a month ago, no problem. VA Green, that was the sound check, peppermint tea, yeah. So you can plant that stuff out quite a while ago. Onions can take all the way down to it got 17 degrees a couple of years ago. I planted the onions out on April 20th, and it got down to 17 degrees. I went out to the garden and was like, oh, everything was covered in a hard frost. And I tried to bend one of the onions, and it just snapped right off. Oh, man, I thought they were all done, but they weren't. They thawed out, and every one of them survived. 17 degrees, totally frozen solid. So they're pretty hardy if they're hardened off correctly. Now, there is cold hardy stuff. There is frost sensitive stuff. But then there is like heat loving stuff. So we're still not at that time yet, at least in Northern Indiana, where the heat loving stuff is really going to take off. So that's like your sweet potatoes, your watermelons, your winter squash, and to a degree your tomatoes as well, and the cucumbers. Those like it warm. In particular, the sweet potatoes. They will just sit there, so you don't really gain a lot. That's what I'm trying to get at. You don't gain a lot by really rushing or really trying to push it and starting early. So if you're in an area like Northern Indiana, where we have a nice long growing season, it's a really good season here, typically. I mean, we get droughts and, we can get southern heat and we can get northern winters and stuff like that. But overall, it's a pretty long, good season for growing stuff. So there's no rush. And so it's you actually, and I'm looking at my sweet potato slips right now, which I'm going to talk about here in a moment. You will actually gain so much more by waiting until that soil warms up. The soil temperature is everything. The soil temperature is so important, especially for the heat-loving stuff. So your sweet potatoes and your melons, which we'll talk about here. I'm going to show you guys some of the melons that I've planted and stuff, especially like the Maduras melon and some of the other ones. They like it to be nice and as hot as you can get your season. So get that soil warm, get it warmed up, and and it's going to take off. And I know this for sure because I have done this, for a long time now. And so I have really pushed it, trying to start stuff as early as possible, and then I've changed my mind a little bit as far as the layout of the garden. And then I planted some other stuff similar, like the tomatoes, several weeks after the ones I planted really early. And always the ones that I plant later in the warmer soil, they take faster and they grow faster. They grow right past those ones that were sitting in the cold, wet soil for weeks. So there's just something about it. They like that hot, that nice warm temperatures. Okay, let's see where you guys are at. What you got growing right now? What are your goals for the season? What, if you're watching this after the fact, let people know what you have planted in your garden this year. In particular, if you're experimenting with anything, what lessons did you learn last year? That's really good. Like, did you learn that cucumber plants, they produce really prolifically, but then they sort of die off? So many people contact me about cucumbers and they say, what's wrong with the cucumbers that I have? And I say, okay, well, how long have they been, how long have you had them? Well, I planted these, blah, 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 3 months ago, and I've been harvesting for a long time. Okay, so that is because cucumber plants, they have a very short lifespan. They grow really fast when the soil's warm. They produce a bunch of cucumbers, but then they die off quickly and they catch disease. No matter what, your cucumbers are going to get diseases at some point. So understanding that, then you will know if you want cucumbers all season, don't plant them all at once. If you have a trellis, don't plant all your cucumbers and then think, well, my cucumbers are planted for the season. Unless you're going to do pickling cucumbers, of course, which is different. Then you plant them all at once so you can do the pickling. But if you want fresh slicers, what was the something apple? I don't have the packet right here. I forget. It was something green apple cucumber from Baker Creek Seed last year. It was my first year growing that one. Delicious. Super delicious. Definitely growing it again. But you will know. So, okay, we'll plant 25% of the cucumber space. And then 2 weeks later, we'll plant another 25% of the cucumber space. And then 2 weeks later, we'll plant another 25% like that. That is how you will have cucumbers for an extended period of time. Okay, so you learn things like that. So if you've learned something like that, you can put it in the comments to help other people. Richmond green apple. Yeah, I'm right behind you. Yes, thank you. Richmond green apple. That is such a good, delicious cucumber. I had my doubts, but sweet, and it juices really well, and they're nice. They're individual size. It's not a honkin' Market More or something like that. So yeah, it's very good. Freebird, CashApp, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's see here. Let us see here. It says, thanks for all your help and encouragement. And thank you for the contribution, the consistent contribution, my friend. I do appreciate that big time. Also, Donald Hughes via PayPal, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, for my monthly subscription to Viking Knowledge. I appreciate this, guys. If you want to contribute, this is a good way to do it. Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. Because then nobody else has their fingers in it, if you know what I mean. So it's all to the cause. So thank you guys for everything. Okay, let's see. Look to Nature says, Jay Dixon, need to know as well. Nate, how do you succession sow cukes? Definitely succession sow them. Pretty much like I just said. So I have the trellis, but actually what I've done is, here's how I do cucumbers. So I've got peas growing right now. I've got 3 sets of trellises, or however many you have, it doesn't matter. The system will be the same. So I've got 3 sets of trellises, and about a month ago, I planted peas. And so the peas are already this tall. They're going to be producing before too long. But I plant snow peas for the summertime because of the heat and all that, and I like to stir fry. So I plant the big, thick sugar snap peas for the fall garden. But anyways, I plant the peas there, and then the peas are going to grow up, and for about another month or so, the peas are going to be there. Peas are short-lived as well. Once the summer heat gets here and it's consistently above 80 degrees, the peas are just going to they're just going to stop producing, and they'll get fibrous and sort of bitter. So at that time, then, I will remove them and grow the cucumbers on that exact same trellis. It's cattle panel trellis with T-posts. Now, do I wait until the peas are out of the ground before I plant the cucumbers? No, that's the secret, is that you have the row of peas, which are nitrogen fixers, and so they are pulling the nitrogen from the air, and they're the sunlight, the carbon, all this other stuff, and then they are convincing the microorganisms in the soil and around the roots to produce the nitrogen and harvest the nitrogen. So it really enriches the soil. And so about 3 weeks before I know that the peas are going to be done, I will plant the cucumbers right into it. You just put the cucumber seeds right into that. And I'll do it about every 8 inches or so, about like this. And then let those come up. And so by the time that the peas are done, are ready to be, taken out, I will cut them at ground level, and those cucumbers will already be ready to explode. They're already nice and tall. That's the way to do it. And I have 3 trellises. If you watch my electroculture video last year, my electroculture result video, or maybe one of the other videos, you can see the trellises. And so I'll plant one like that, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, I'll plant another one. 2 or 3 weeks later, another one. So we have cucumbers all season long, and we rotate the peas with the cucumbers. That's what I found is the best. So I hope that helps. Everybody is saying, happy birthday, Justin Millward. Yes, my friend, happy birthday. Jerry Jr. says, peach leaf curl. Anyone have any advice how to treat besides just removing all the infected leaves? Maybe you asked the question because I wanted to bring that up today. So guys, do you have any tips on, I think that was the question. Let's see here. Probably, yeah. So any recommendations for peach trees that look like has leaf curl? I bought 2 new peach trees last year, and this year the leaves are curling up and look like blisters on them. Hope it doesn't spread to my other older 2 peach trees. So what do you guys think? Okay, Jerry, yeah. Same thumbnail. So what do you guys think? What do you do? Because I don't have experience with that yet, even though we planted an orchard this year. So out at the Viking North Garden, we've got several fruit trees, and we will be expanding all of this stuff as the seasons continue. Getting into the fruit big time. Lots of strawberries, lots of all kinds of good stuff. So guys, if you have experience with the peach leaf curl, what can we do? So let me get a little bit of this tea. And guys, shout out to Justin in Tennessee, the Tennessee family who began as clients where I did some consulting, but now are dear friends. They got me this because they know that I love tea and coffee, and it is insulated. Okay, it's metal because I've busted at least a dozen in my life of the glass ones. It's all metal and it's insulated. So this thing is game changing, guys, in my tea and coffee game. It has streamlined the whole thing. I no longer have to wrap it in towels and all that stuff and use a strainer and everything like that. I just use this thing. So it's really wonderful. And what do I have in here? I went outside and I picked fresh peppermint, spearmint, another kind of mint we call Jenny mint because Jenny gave it to me, and catnip, a little bit of catnip, and some lemon balm. So we have those things in there, boiling water in a tea. Yes. So now we can, and it allows us to drink it out of proper little teacups, instead of massive American teacups. So we're just going to have a little bit at a time, keep it nice and hot, and we're going to have some of that raw honey from my other uncle, not the Viking uncle. He keeps bees. And so this stuff is super delicious. And I look forward to getting some more. Oh, man. Okay, you gotta wait 1 second. Yes. So, yeah, a lot of people ask me about the, well, I'm not gonna go into that story right now, but about the honey and the tea, you know? And like I tell you guys about my time in Greece and Honey George and all that, so that's why I put honey into hot tea, and I don't ever even think twice about it. So, let's see. Okay. Some guys have got some good tips, all right? So, let's see. Julianne says, peach trees, water more, and Epsom salt. Turn mine around. New ones. Okay, nice. Jay Dixon, peach leaf curl is fungal and can be somewhat controlled by chemical and cultural controls. I'm sure chemical it could be. I'm sure, I mean, if you ask JDOM, I'm sure they would say the JWA with the JDOM sulfur. I'm sure. Let's see here. Mountainside Homestead says, where do you get something like that? I just had a French press break as well. I have lots of kids and need something that won't break. Guys, I'm going to put this into Amazon. I think they got it on Amazon. I'm going to put this in the Amazon storefront as soon as I can ask them to send me the link, because I definitely endorse this thing. It keeps it nice and warm. I mean, hot. So that's what I've been looking for years. So, Muddy Paws says, honey, ginger, turmeric, and lemon ferment tastes like rotten fruit. Let it go too long or not long enough? Well, if it tastes rotten, then it's not good. So probably what happened is you didn't use enough honey, and the air got to it and it sort of decomposed. You really it's gotta be like entombed in honey, basically. So, but if it's off, if it tastes off or smells off, then it is off. Yeah, sorry. Ozark Valley, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, watched planting fish, egg, and coffee, and I have questions about sourcing fish. Choices: fresh GMO-fed trout, purchased fish farm fish, or out-of-date canned tuna and salmon. What's best? Ooh, okay. Well, you know, I mean, the out-of-date canned tuna and salmon is going to be still, you know, I mean, 5 years after the date has expired, that stuff's still going to be good. I mean, the canned stuff, really, as long as it's not ballooned out, is going to be good for a long time. So I would probably keep that in my survival rig, if you know what I mean, in my rainy day or societal collapse food supply. And then GMO-fed trout and the purchased fish from the fish farm is going to be kind of similar. The fish farms are gnarly, guys. And ask me how I know. I was the scoop. The fish farms are gnarly. And you don't ever want to eat farmed fish. You never want to eat farmed fish unless you're farming it yourself, which basically means like having a pond, you know, different. But like commercial fish farming is seriously toxic stuff. But so I would use, so you really, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about the GMO fed fish. I mean, it's passing through them and stuff. I mean, out of all of that, yeah, so the GMO fed trout, did you have to purchase that? If you don't have to purchase that, then use that and just use that, definitely. You probably mean from like one of those like things, like they have like fishing ponds where you go and then you cast in and you pay by the inch of the fish that you caught, something like that. But then the short answer is any of those will work. Any of those will work. But if you have limited fish, guys, listen, if you have limited access to fish, then make the fish amino acids. make the FAA with the brown sugar. That's what I would recommend. Or if you need it fast for this season, make the fish hydrolysate. But by liquefying the proteins and digesting them, either enzymatically or by other means, you can spread the proteins out through such a larger area. And you can utilize a smaller amount of fish to a much greater amount of space. Because if we only have a certain amount of fish and we take and we make the FAA out of it, then we can take that and we can foliar spray our entire garden with just 2 ounces of it, as opposed to putting one whole fish under each plant. The fish in the ground thing is if the fish is plentiful. If you can just go to the river and get catfish or carp, if you can spear carp, me and Rusty Reed the Turtle Man are going to make a video pretty soon about, I'll incorporate it somehow, I'm not sure exactly how, but I will, about spearing carp, invasive carp in these creeks around here. We go in the John boat and boom, and spear them. And so if you have that kind of thing, then plant it in each hole, absolutely. But if you have to purchase it, it's not worth it to put it into the hole. It's worth it to digest it enzymatically or with osmosis. Yeah, Scott Miller says some grocers will give fish and shell parts. Take a 5-gallon bucket. Yes, they will. Sam Potzek, the Turtle Man, he says, yes, you can look him up. He's got a YouTube channel, Rusty Reed the Turtle Man. Freebird says, Nate, I love the Ruth Stout video. Going to try it this year. Yo, man, guys, if you have enough access to enough organic matter, then Ruth Stout is the way to go. It really is. Because the soil, it produces the finest soil that I've seen over the years. Now, but the main drawback is that massive amount of organic matter. And so unless you have, if you have the capability, here's who that will be perfect for. And here's how I will do it when we get the land, is that we will grow the organic matter. So you have to have, if you have enough land, then you can grow the organic matter and then it all makes sense. But if you're having to purchase bales of straw, even though in Indiana it's cheap, $4 a bale, give or take, $3-4 a bale. If you have to purchase it, it quickly doesn't make sense, because you have to add a lot. So, but it still can if your garden is small, But for like a proper, if you're doing like a 40 by 60, the ideal is to cover the entire thing in the hay or straw or leaves or whatever it is. And you keep that stuff thick. And over the years, man, it digests so well. And that microorganisms get up in there. And it's so easy. You just scoot the stuff aside, plant into the soil, and it's like composting in place. If you have access to enough organic matter, I highly recommend it. But the key is that you gotta keep it thick. If you watch the video I made yesterday, then you will see that I was getting big round bales of spoiled hay from my uncle, the other uncle, third uncle, they're like industrial ag farmers. And so they've got hundreds of acres that they farm. And so they had a bunch, they had like 20 of these round bales go bad. And so he was like, you just come pick them up, you can have them. Okay, so I did that, spread that stuff out, and it worked really well, really well. And I just put like 3 feet of hay on top of grass. We didn't till it, we didn't burn it, we didn't tarp it, nothing. We just let that grass grow until it sort of folded over on itself. And then we put the 2 to 3 feet, fluffy, we fluffed it up. So it was 2 to 3 feet thick. And then over the next month, it only took a month, it settled down till it was about 6 to 8 inches, like that. And then we just scooted aside, planted right into it. We had amazing crops. I did that for like 4 years in a row over at the Temple garden. So I can highly recommend it. But you will, Justin Milward, thick beards make thick mulch. That's right. Let's see here. So the Ruth Stout, it works just fantastic for so many things. Now, there still will be weeds. Okay, there will be weeds. And I'm going to be, out at the Viking North Garden, we're going to be doing a display garden this year so that I can make videos about it. And it's going to be even easier and even simpler than the Ruth Stout method. It's as simple and easy and effective as it possibly gets. So you'll see. There will be some controversy about it, though. I already know, but it doesn't matter. It's just another method that you can utilize. Kenny Martin, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, how soon after applying nitrogen solution to soil can I plant? And how often should I reapply if lots of old wood mulch in the soil? What nitrogen solution are you talking about? And that depends greatly. So what nitrogen solution are you talking about? Jeannie Mermal, are you worried about grazon in the hay? Well, fortunately, I know because my uncle was the farmer, and very clearly he knows what I'm talking about, and he doesn't spray it with anything. Period. So because it's just for cows, it's mostly horse that is going to be about that kind of stuff. So Cole, $10. Thank you, my friend. It says thank you for everything that you do. Via PayPal. Thank you very much, Cole. I appreciate that. And I recognize that name. That's not the first one from you. So thank you very much for supporting this operation. Look to Nature says, Nate, any thoughts on the use of colloidal silver? No, I do not have experience with that. But Jeannie, the grazon in the hay is mega. It's a huge issue. And it's even more of an issue in the manures now. And I mean, I tried to fight it for many years, and we still will be using manures when we can source them 100% accurately. But I've just been sort of burned too many times already on the manures. So I'm just over because grazon is everywhere now. And so it's, until we get the land and we have the animals on site, if you're growing the food for the animals and the animals are on site, that's the finest fertilizer. That's the only thing you need is manures. That's the way humans have been doing it for thousands of years. And that's the way nature's been doing it for even longer, much longer. And so the animals that eat the grass, they digest it in their system. They have a very different digestive process than we do. They essentially compost it in a matter of days or hours even, instead of a matter of months or years. And so they're dropping that manure, super good, super nutrient rich, full of the good bacteria. But now that we have to worry about grazon and other broadleaf herbicides, it's really taken a lot of the fun out of it. Dave's Pharmacy says, hay, not straw. Yeah, hay is what you have to worry about. Straw, you really don't have to worry about because they're not really spraying the straw. Outside in Georgia says, thanks for convincing me to get the indoor grow tent. Leveled up my gardening for sure. I was just germinating on the back porch. Now I can anytime in a controlled environment. Yes, guys. Thank you for saying that because it's so, remember, if you've watched my seed starting masterclass, the 5 things that plants need: light, water, air, nutrients, and it all has to happen at the right temperature. So your success in seed starting, short of like a greenhouse, well, even with a greenhouse, your success in seed starting is going to be dependent on your ability to manipulate and control those 5 things. If you have no control whatsoever over them, then you're not going to have a lot of success. It will still work on nature's own clock and cycle. But if you're trying to start up things early indoors, then you want to make sure you have control over those things. A little more hot tea. AK Froggy says, question, what is the best soil amendment to use when planting apple trees? Now, I can't say for sure based upon experience with apple trees, But I can say for sure that I would do it like pretty much any other tree, where you would just backfill with the native soil. Don't add a bunch of compost and stuff when you're planting the trees. And you would mulch around the tree, absolutely. Now, I would add azomite. That is something that I would add. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of azomite because it's cheap, easily available, very effective, and filled with over 70 different minerals. So, and it's not like a process. It's not petroleum-based chemicals, you know. I will finish that in a moment, but Richard Hoof, I've saw this question. Yeah, can you apply urea and calcium at the same time? Yes, you can, definitely. You will see in the aerated compost tea video how I go about doing all of that. So yes, you can apply that stuff at the same time. You'll just kick back the dosages a little bit. So the planting the apple trees. So I would add some azomite, and I would mulch with leaves. Deciduous leaves would be the best thing to put around, at least as wide as the drip line of the tree. And then, if you can, you would want to plant like a cover crop. We will be doing that eventually, planting a cover crop in between the orchard, the rows. So yeah. Trees don't need a lot. And then the aerated compost tea, that's really all that they will need. If you make a good aerated compost tea, like you will see coming up, and we're going to have different recipes. I'll share the different recipes that I've had over the years, and some of them are for foliar only. And so you make some of them aerated compost teas, spray it all over the whole tree, the leaves, the soil, everything. It's going to love it. It's just like bathing it in compost. They love this stuff. Richard Hoof says, purchased a dehydrator and toaster this week using your storefront. Thank you very much, Richard. Remember, guys, anything that you purchase through those links, even if it's not in my storefront, this channel will get the credit. So if you're doing shopping on Amazon, go into Amazon through those links, and whatever you purchase while that browser window's open, even if it's your own stuff, totally not related to my stuff, this channel will get the credit. So it's better than Amazon keeping it. It's a small percentage, but still, it's something. So we need to be doing that. Okay, let's all come together. If you do shopping on Amazon, just come to one of my videos, go to that link, and there we go. Oh, Downer420 says, hi from Australia. I'm cold and can't sleep, so join the live. A rare privilege. All right, well, welcome. Let's see here. Hello, Nancy says, blessings from Chattanooga. Yes, guys, thanks again for all the people that showed up to the Crabtree Farm seminar that we had a couple weeks ago. It was awesome. Had a good turnout. Saw several of you guys from the channel, and got to talk about what we are passionate about. So that is awesome. Let's see, Val says, what is azomite good for? Azomite is a mineralizer. So it's, now remember, it's not 100% necessary if you've got, if you've just got manures and compost and stuff like that, yes, but it's even a step above. So, you know my pedigree, you know my resume, where I come from growing and stuff. So we had to have the best of the best of the best in the world. We had to have that. And so in order to have that, you have to push it. You can't just, well, we'll just put some compost in there and it'll grow. It's a weed. No, it's not like that. You have to really push it and baby it and understand every aspect of the process, why things are the way they are. And so when you research and you study this and then you observe nature and you test your soils constantly and all that stuff like I did for years, then you come to the direct experiential understanding that growth in a plant is limited by the lowest supply nutrient or mineral. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a term for this, but I never understood it until I experienced it. That the growth of the plant is limited by the one mineral or nutrient that is lacking the most. Yes? So even if you have all the N, P, and K that the plants can handle, if you don't have the calcium or the magnesium or the boron, if you don't have enough of that, that will be the limiting factor. And so the plant's not going to grow well. And so a lot of times, especially in natural farming, the issues that people have are actually micronutrient issues, not N, P, and K, not even mag or cal, but more micro than that. So by adding something like azomite, you're ensuring that the plant will have access, the soil, and thereby through the soil food web, the plant will have access to the minerals that it needs when it needs it. So azomite's a really good thing. That's why it's definitely part of the Viking granular fertilizer, the azomite. Definitely, it's in the right proportion though, as compared to the rest of the other ingredients. So azomite is very good at doing that, at mineralizing the soil so that you can rest assured that the micronutrients are there when they need it. Yeah. Yes, Rick Thielen says, grow the soil, not the fertilizer. Yes, exactly. This is exactly what we're doing. Andrea Brown says, grow all year. The book suggests not using azomite as a substitute. I wonder why. I wonder what their thought is. Jerry Jr. says, azomite is $64 for 44 pounds at Walmart. Is that cheap? Well, if you order it by the pallet, you can get it for half that. But that's not bad because it'll go a long way. It'll go a long way. Operation Annihilation, a law of minimum. That's what that term is, the law of minimum. And it has to do, that is relevant to plants. It will grow to the maximum of its minimum supplied nutrients. So, yes. Andrea Brown says, what are you talking about? I can't, okay. So Andrea is saying the book suggests not using azomite as a substitute for the JDOM sulfur. That's right. Oh yes, that's right. Man, I tried using that many years ago. I tried using azomite and I tried using zeolite for the replacement for the red clay powder or whatever it is he uses. We don't have that in this country. So it's very difficult to find and expensive. And it's not necessary. He's doing it just for mineralization. And so it's not necessary. So I totally have omitted the whole thing. There's no need to put it into the JDOM sulfur. It's so confusing. I wish he wouldn't have done that because it confuses so many people. And they think that they have to find that. They don't for the sulfur to be effective. I only realized that after several failed batches. And then someone in the mountains was like, no, you don't have to use that. So, okay. What's revolutionary about the way that JDOM has made the sulfur is that he developed the method to melt the sulfur without fire. And any other method, it can't be done. You have to use really hot fire because sulfur melts at a higher temperature than boiling water. And so you have to go through a process to melt it. But he's figured out the way to add the ingredients in the exact order that will melt the sulfur chemically. It's pretty awesome. The Mom General, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, hey, Nate, been a while. Yes, it has. My garden has to lay fallow this year because my housey caught fire and I'm away while it's being rebuilt. What can I do for my soil this year to keep it healthy? Ooh, okay. Well, I wish you the best in your rebuilding process, my friend. So thank you for the contribution. So your garden has to lay fallow this year. Okay. So in the typical sense, if you talk to an industrial ag farmer, fallow means nothing. You just don't do anything, and these fields will just lay there, and nothing will grow because it's dead soil, except for some of those really mutant mustard, the yellow mustard plants. Those will grow, but that's it. So fallow for us means a cover crop, and so I would highly suggest growing a clover. I would put out a clover. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly where you're at, but a crimson clover, or if you're in the north, a mammoth red clover. It will overwinter and be wonderful. You can also do a winter rye, and that would be really good. You could do a combination. You could make your own seed mix, and you could do about 50-50. Of the clover and the winter rye, yeah, and that will help to the winter rye and everything, or the winter wheat will go deep into the earth. The really fibrous root system will penetrate the earth and create all sorts of wonderful air channels, and it will also be capturing the sunlight or capturing the carbon out of the atmosphere and pumping it into the soil. The process called soil building. And so you will be building the soil. So don't just let it lay there. Central Virginia. Okay, then you can use crimson clover, I think. How cold does it get in Virginia? To me, that's in the south, but it's not, is it? So Claire Aylward, Seven Springs Farm is worth the drive. Yes, that is a great place, actually. Let's see here. Big Will Dog says, question, Nate, my B-Day is next Saturday and you're invited to the party if available. Thank you very much, my friend, but we are going camping. So we will be backpacking. I'm not sure if it's Saturday or no, we have to have the live. But happy birthday anyways, my friend. Thank you very much for the invite. I appreciate the thought. I was going to ask how old are you, but I don't know if that's appropriate to ask people how old they are. In this country, people don't do that very much. When I was traveling, people like in Asia, they have the whole thing is completely different. They will straight up ask you as soon as they meet you. If you're in India, as soon as they meet you, oh, what is your profession? Oh, I'm this or that. Oh, what is your yearly salary? Oh, okay. They will ask you questions, super personal questions. They don't even think about it. 42, all right, my friend, I'm right behind you. About to be 39 here in a couple months. 39. 40 is going to feel strange, just saying that, because it sort of feels adult-like. D Bank says, how do you know when cauliflower or broccoli heads are going to bolt? And when is it too late or hot out to let them keep growing? Massachusetts, Zone 6B. I don't have a lot of experience with cauliflower and broccoli because here, because I know that cauliflower and broccoli is like spinach in the sense that they don't necessarily bolt based upon the heat. They bolt based upon the differential between the extreme of the heat and the cold. So that's why they like to grow it in temperate places. Because here we can have an 87-degree day and a 48-degree night, and that huge swings of temperatures like that sends the stuff to bolt. So it's that's what you got to look out for, is the temperature swings. Claire Aylward, it's not adult-like. Don't be fooled. Yeah, I know. I feel timeless. Yeah, see, all you guys know. Justin says, who cares about age? Age is experience, vitality, and overall human consciousness. Absolutely. My goodness, I would not trade 1 second, 1 moment of anything. Not a single regret, nothing. Not 1 second. I wouldn't want to go back. No, there's no way. Because here I am with all this experience and knowledge and this peace in my heart that comes only from experience. I just, it was a great run, but I wouldn't want to do it again because here I am now, you know? And so we can just like, it's such a gift, age. So, let's see here. Big Will Dog says, this is the age doctors told me I'd be SEA by if I didn't have major surgery. This is my I'm still here party. Nice. Nice. I'm still here. That's right, my friend. Dead, not C. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. Nick DJ Snap says, that's good to know. Good to know why my spinach doesn't grow well. So yes, that's why. So spinach can take some heat, but it's that differential that it just can't take. So once the wild swings start happening, forget about it. That's why they grow spinach and broccoli and cauliflower in like Washington and stuff like that, where it's real temperate. Yeah. Lisa T says, what is the optimal time to harvest herbs, especially medicinal, early or late in the day in the season? Very good question. And you always want to harvest herbs right before the sun comes up. That's the best time. Or as the sun's coming up, early in the morning, when it's still cool, when the dew is still on the plants, that's when you want to harvest it. And you want to harvest it before it has gone to seed. You have to always remember that. When we look to nature, we can see that plants will maintain incredible vigor so long as they don't go to seed. But once they've gone to seed, then it changes the focus of their life. And the focus of their life is no longer protecting the plant like it was. So the plant will produce an abundant amount of essential oils to protect itself from whatever pest it's trying to protect itself from. That's why they're so fragrant. And so, because it's setting the stage, it has to make sure that it's alive long enough in order to set up the infrastructure that is going to allow it to produce the seed. It's all about the seed. It's all about the seed. And so when they're leading up to that, at that part of their life, then they are producing these heavy essential oils and resins so that they can protect themselves from the predators that they perceive will threaten their seed production. But once that switch gets flipped and they start producing seed, then they say, okay, here we are, let's go for it. Boom! And really fast. They go really fast and produce seed as quickly as they can so that they can drop the seed and perpetuate the species. That's their purpose. And so once they go to seed, they say, well, my purpose is pretty much fulfilled of the essential oils. The purpose of the essential oils has been fulfilled. And so they will lose flavor, they'll lose smell, the terpenes, the oils, all of that kind of stuff will sort of evaporate. So herbs, it's best if you keep them from going to seed, especially things like basil and mint and stuff like this. Well, all the herbs, really. After they've gone to seed, they're not nearly as tasty. Okay? Now, there's a few exceptions. I can't think of exactly what they are at the moment, but that's what you want to do. So early or late in the season doesn't matter, actually. Early or late in the season doesn't matter as much. It's early or late in their growth cycle. For example, basil. I can do 3, even 4 plantings of basil, succession plantings of basil here. So we can plant we can start basil seeds the middle of July, plant them out into the garden the beginning of August, and still get a wonderful bushy crop of basil to make pesto out of. So the best way to do herbs is to succession sow them. Some herbs, like basil and cilantro, definitely. So cilantro is one that you eat the seeds. It becomes coriander. So, yes, I hope that helped. Andrea Brown says, Nate, I've got your basil collection in the seed packs going to send out this week. Thank you so much. Paul, if you're watching, I got that package in the mail. It should be there by now. So let me know if you got it. Guys, let me know if you haven't received your fertilizer yet. Let me know. And you know that you ordered it and you paid for it. But everyone should have received it so far, except for one lady that ordered it last week. I haven't got to it yet. But we still have a few of the fertilizers left. If you guys want the 33 pounders, you can still get some. Just a few of them, though. So next year, we'll do a much bigger run, definitely. Dennis Kuskovas says, how long will homemade fish hydrolysate be usable? Made some last year in a 5-gallon bucket. Never used it yet. Is it still good to use? Yes, it is still good to use. No problem. Just use it like normal. Kenny Martin says, having connection issues, urea nitrogen solution. Oh, is that the solution? Okay, that was the question. You've asked it you said that like 10 times. Okay, so that was the question, urea nitrogen solution. You can apply that while there's plants in the ground. I think you asked, right? You asked something about that. You can apply that while plants are in the ground. You don't have to worry about burning them with that. So hopefully I answered the question. Trying to look up through these comments and stuff. Yes, that was. Okay, how soon after applying nitrogen solution to soil can I plant, and how often should I reapply if lots of old wood mulch in the soil? Ooh, yeah, reapply. Okay, so you're going to want to do the compost teas. I know I keep saying that, and I haven't made a video yet, but it'll be out Wednesday. Or possibly Thursday. But anyways, this week, it's all already in the mix. So you want to use that because, and then we can make a higher nitrogen compost tea, you will see. But you want those microorganisms in there. It's not just the nitrogen. But you can apply that stuff every time you water. It really, with the natural stuff, you can apply it quite a bit. But you got to read the plants. You got to read the plants. If the plants are getting swollen, like super dark green and like with big kind of swollen leaves, then lay off the nitrogen, definitely. Because, if they're too swollen with the nitrogen, then they will become very susceptible to pests. But it's not easy to do. With homemade stuff, it's not easy to do because they're not going to get, it's not like chemical fertilizers where they are forced to absorb a bunch of the too much nitrogen. Look to Nature says, Nate, I'll be getting you the Diamondback Rattlesnake yard-long beans this week. Hopefully not too late for your bean sowing. Thank you, my friend. I will do that. I will put those in the ground. No doubt. Thank you. Grow all year. Sent something your way today. Oh, thank you, my friend. Oh, that's what okay, that's what that person was saying. Grow all year. Okay. I thought you were talking about a book or something. Yeah, I'm confused. You guys are having your own conversation, and that's great. Keep doing that. So let's see, guys. Now, a couple of things. Let's see here. It's really good to get you a magnifying glass, okay? It really is, so that you can see the little pests. You need to be able to look at stuff. So much of what people think are nutrient deficiencies are pests, issues. And so it pays to get a good solid one like this. I put it in the Amazon storefront, I think, but this is the one. Now, guys, how would you pronounce that brand name? How would you pronounce that? I kind of don't even want to say it in case there's kids watching, but it's obviously a Chinese company, and the translation is sort of lost. But maybe it's Dicphaeus. But anyways, it's a really good one. So it's rubberized, it's plastic and rubberized, and the lens is actually glass. But be careful, it will start fire. I mean, real fast. It will start fire in the mulch real fast. But this is a good one. It's got a good magnifying capability. I really like it. So Yes, Big Will Dog. That name belongs in my underculture kit. Absolutely. Goes with the underculture. You got, you got to get your, maybe a Diphaeus. So, okay, so there was more things I needed to talk about. So if you guys haven't already, you got to get on the German butterball train, and it's not too late to plant potatoes. Okay, I hear from if you. That's why I don't even look anymore, like at Facebook groups and stuff like that, because so many people, even though they're really well intentioned, they're just straight up misinformed, and so they perpetuate this misinformation. You know. Or just inaccurate information. They think it's true. They're being truthful, but it's not the truth, you know? So they are like, I mean, there's an Indiana backyard gardeners group and stuff. And I saw this post. Someone was like, I haven't planted potatoes yet. Do I still have time? And there was like 75 comments. Oh, you should have planted those weeks ago. It's pretty much too late. You had to have those in the ground weeks ago. So many people. You're going to get tiny little golf ball sized potatoes now. Better luck next year. I'm thinking, what? You guys are insane, because for the best planting of potatoes for me is when I plant them July 1st. Here in northern Indiana, I plant them July 1st after I remove some of the others. Even later than that, I will often harvest the garlic, which is beginning of July, couple weeks. Pull the garlic out and put Yukon Gold potatoes in there and get a full harvest by the time that the frost comes. I mean, totally nice, thick, full harvest that will store all winter long. So all them people that are saying, oh, you should have started weeks ago. What are you talking about? That's just perpetuating a myth. And potatoes actually do better when they are ripening as the days are getting cooler. They don't like to ripen as it's becoming blazing hot. In the summertime. So you'll get better, more flavorful potatoes that store longer if you wait until as late as possible, actually. I do a short run of potatoes now. I mean, it all depends upon your parameters, you know. But that being said, you have to understand if your potatoes are late season or early season. So the Yukon Golds are very fast, like 75 days, 80 days. All right. But these German butterballs are like 125 days. And so we pretty much do actually want to get planting these within 2 weeks ago, up until the next 2 weeks, give or take. We do want to plant these. But the upside is that they store just magnificent. Guys, these are mine from last year, and they're still plenty hard to eat. You could definitely eat these, no problem still. And they're just in the basement. They're not like any special root cellar or any special thing, just in the basement. So, and remember this, determinate and indeterminate potatoes, that classification only has to do with the above ground portion. And I'm 95% positive of this. So, now even more than that, actually. I'm like 98% positive that is the case. And it's a total 100% myth, maybe 99% myth, that indeterminate potatoes will keep producing up the vine. I've done experiments over the years, and it just doesn't work. It's never worked that way. It's never worked. This is the indeterminate potato. The German butterball is the most indeterminate potato that there is. And so I've done them in the bags and in the barrels where I've rolled the bags up and kept adding soil until they were super tall. And then I would just cut the bag so that I could see all the potatoes fall out, like those ridiculous videos online. And it never happens that way. There's always only potatoes pretty much at the level that you plant the potatoes. I've never seen it otherwise. So I'm going to go ahead and say, based on my experience, that's a myth. So so when they're talking about determinate, but what is not a myth is that the determinate potatoes are bushy. They're short and stout and bushy, like the Yukon Gold or the Red New Orleans or something like that. So they grow like a stout kind of bush. Whereas the German butterballs, which are indeterminate, they grow like they're like 5 feet long. They grow up and then they fall over and they keep growing. They look real scraggly and stuff. They're not really a pretty plant like that. So I'm pretty much positive that that's all that they're referring to. So, but yet if you do any research online, you'll never find that. I mean, there's hardly, you will hear, well, indeterminate will keep producing, so you got to mound them up. That's just not true. Okay, someone can prove me wrong, though. I mean, you can definitely, if you've got absolute stone cold evidence that they are growing up the vine, please show me that and explain your process. The Urban Gardener, what's up, my friend? Podcaster. Guys, check out the Urban Gardener podcast. We were on there a month or two ago now. Check out that episode. You can go back and watch it. He says, you are totally correct about potatoes. Thank you. Okay, so he concurs. That's good. That's good. It's just crazy how the internet can perpetuate that kind of thing. You know, that, well, indeterminate, you got to mound up. And people say it with 100% confidence. And that's the difference between someone being truthful and telling the truth. There's a huge difference. Being truthful is telling what I believe is true. And so they're telling the truth, what they believe to be true, but it's not the truth. You understand the difference? Yes, the Urban Gardener says hilling potatoes are to protect the top potatoes growing right at ground level, not to grow more potatoes. Exactly. And it's to keep them from the light, because the light is what will turn them green. And it's not just in the skins, guys. It's in the whole potato. So you definitely don't want to let them hit the light. That's why with the Ruth Stout method, we got to make sure we're putting plenty of that stuff. Yes? Let's see here. So Rick Thalayan says, the determinate potato only grows in one level, Nate. Only indeterminate will be everywhere in the soil. See, that's the myth that we're talking about, though. So I've not ever experienced that to be true. I've experienced the opposite of that to be true, that potatoes only grow on the level that you plant them. So if you guys want to prove me wrong, please do it. Joey says, Nate, I've been growing for a long time. I've implemented a lot of your strategies, studied JDOM and KNF, and I've never had better results and a much cheaper overhead. Thank you. Yes, Joey, that's what it's all about right there. So, man, we're having crazy wind right now, and that's why I keep hearing all these windows are rattling because they're 100 years old. But yes, Joey, thank you for sharing that, because that's what it's all about. Even very experienced growers can benefit from all this kind of stuff, definitely. And there's a transition when we go from only the mindset of fertilizer comes from the store, from a bag, to the mindset of fertilizer can be made ourselves. It's a whole paradigm shift. So yeah, all of it can be made ourselves. So DLR says, Luke from MI Gardener also says indeterminate or determinate potatoes is a myth. There we go. Luke knows his stuff. I will say that. If there's one other, I think I've said this before, if there's one other YouTuber that I would really, probably more than any other that I'm aware of at the moment, Luke has got good info. Yeah. So P. Morton says, my onions from seed went nowhere this year. Old seeds, I guess. I do have a gang of regrowth lentils, though. Yep, the onion seed is the one that oxidizes the fastest. And it's because we have to look at the growth habit of the onion. And the onion flowers, it's a biennial. And so the first year it produces the foliage and the bulb. Overwinters, the second year it produces the flower stalk. But the flower stalk dies back midsummer. And so it will die back and fall to the ground, and the onions will grow again that same year and then overwinter. See? So that they can grow in the spring. So the onion seeds, designed by nature, do not have to last. They're not like the other seeds that are designed to last over a winter. They're designed to fall to the ground and sprout immediately. That's how they do it. They're a biennial, onions are, but not how we grow them. So we switch up the time frame on how we grow them. So we remove the seeds and store them until the winter, but in nature it will fall to the ground and immediately sprout. Yes? Blue Wolf says, I second Joey's statement. Been growing for over 30 years. Nate has taught me tons. Filled in the holes I had. Thanks, Nate. Yes, Blue Wolf, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate your presence on both these channels. Both Garden Like a Viking and Thrive Like a Viking. Let's see, Teats Treats, $2. Thank you, my friend. Quick rundown on how you grow chamomile. So chamomile is a wonderful herb to grow. I've got it all over the place. So there's several ways you can grow it. And I've experimented the past several years, and one of the best ways to grow chamomile is to direct sow the seeds in the fall time. Yeah, in the early fall time, and let it sprout. And then it will overwinter. It got down to -5 degrees Fahrenheit here, totally unprotected, totally in pots. I mean, just as exposed as it could get. The whole pot was frozen solid down to -5 degrees Fahrenheit. And they overwintered just fine. And they started sprouting again. Now I've got chamomile. The ones that overwinter are way stronger and hardier than the ones that you plant indoors and transplant outside. This I know for sure. So, because I also have started a bunch of them. When I start the regular seeds, I start a bunch of the chamomile in the 72 cell trays because they transplant pretty well. But they never do as good as the ones that have overwintered are like thick and strong and Jurassic. I mean, really a lot more vigorous than the ones I planted by seed this year. So that's how I do the chamomile. Give it a rich soil. Chamomile likes a rich soil. You can pretty much disregard what a lot of seed packets and stuff say about, oh, herbs don't like rich soil. You want to give them benign soil. That's not really been my experience. I mean, in the wild perhaps, like in Greece when I was living there and I saw like oregano and thyme and rosemary growing like in the rocks and stuff, in the mountainsides, that's different. That's just different. But here when you're in the home garden, herbs like a good nutrient-rich soil. And so the chamomile is no different. Yeah? But all you need for the chamomile is the aerated compost teas. Let's see here. B. Hendricks says, what can I grow in my garden to eat that will help my hair grow? Really, you want to focus on nitrate-rich things. You want to focus on things that are going to stimulate the body's production of nitric oxide synthase, which is a vasodilator, which is going to help increase the blood flow to all parts of the body, but also the cuticles and the little follicles in the hair and stuff. And so you want to, I can't go into the whole thing here, but essentially, the highest nitrate, good nitrates, source is arugula. So arugula is very high in nitrates, good high quality nitrates, help the body's production of nitric oxide. Also beets and celery. These are really good for blood flow. And so you want that blood flow all the way, all throughout the body. This is what we want. Stone Creek says rosemary for hair. Yes. This is also, since ancient Roman times, rosemary for hair health. You can make a tonic. Let's see. Yes, Muddy Paws. Arugula sprouts and microgreens. Definitely arugula. And arugula is a cut and come again. So we just cut it and it will grow, and we cut it and it will grow. We don't let it go to seed. Yeah? So Yes. Okay. AK Froggy says here the chamomile grows wild in the gravel around the dumpster. Yes, it can self-sow. It's popping up all over the place now, which is fantastic because it's very benign. It's not like mint or like weeds or something that just overtake what it's growing with. Yeah. Yes, Mountainside Homestead says chamomile grows crazy here in Zone 5. It got down to -40 this year, and my chamomile was the first thing to sprout up in the garden. So there we go, guys. That's pretty much as chamomile is super hardy. Super hardy. So let's see here. Okay, a couple of other things. Since we're on the topic of health and blood flow and all of this stuff, guys, people ask like, what kind of supplements do you take? And I don't take supplements, but because things like this are whole food. All right, so I have smoothies. You know, I have like a shake in the morning. Not really morning, but like about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I will have a liter of raw milk, 2 cups of blueberries, some raw honey, 5 raw eggs, and about 1/4 cup of raw cream. And then I will put in a bunch of ginseng root, a bunch of ginkgo, and a bunch of maca root, along with raw cacao. I will put in boatloads of this stuff. And these are not supplements. These are whole foods. These are actually just leaves ground up. This is a root ground up, you know, like that. So I highly recommend this stuff, guys. It's all about nitric oxide production in the body. This is very important. So Teeth Tree says, hold on, there are no weeds. That's true. That's true. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Southern Waters says, do you know much about cedar apple rust? I'm sorry, I do not know anything about that. DLR says, sorry, dude, if there was a food that helped hair grow, there'd be no bald men walking around. Well, that's true. If it was just like you ate it and it grew your hair, definitely. But I would say the best thing for hair growth, I mean, not like I would know for sure. I mean, the beard growth, yes, but would just be being healthy, just generally being healthy. Definitely for facial hair growth, eating lots of things like oils, lots of fats, lard, tallow, olive oil, coconut oil, stuff like that. Very good. So let's go through a couple of other things here. Now, if you guys are looking for a good tasty melon that will climb up a trellis, the Maduras is a very good one. And it likes it hot. If you're in the South, then it likes it hot, definitely. And it will really explode once we get into like July and August, later June, when it really gets hot. And so you can plant these and climb up a trellis, no problem. Cicada Sweet is another one, and I like this one because you can eat the skin as well. And this one did really good last year. And so they're another one that will grow up a trellis. You don't want to grow bigger ones up trellises, really. I don't like to, because then you have to net them and you have to keep them so that they don't fall and the weight of it pull down the vine. So yes. Let us see here. Nima says, tips on growing watermelon. Yeah, well, melons, these aren't watermelons, these are melons, different, but they're all going to kind of be the same. Watermelons and melons, they like a very rich soil that is sort of like sandy, that is well draining. So if you're going to make a raised bed type area, like what I'm doing in the back, and maybe I'll make a video on it, but I have made a couple of boxes out of 2x12s that are right on the ground. And I fill that with the stuff out of the grow bags that I was using to grow the potatoes, which is a peat moss and perlite blend and compost. Put that into the bag, and then put some of the fertilizer of choice into there, either manures or some of the Viking granular. That's what I'm using this year. And then I'll plant into those boxes, and it will grow up. the trellis. But the box is always open. Any raised bed you see me make in any way is always open to the earth, because that's really where they're going to put them roots down, deep into the earth. So, yeah, I'm not even going to comment. So Val says, 2 questions. How much space should I save in the garden for the onions? Will I need a barrel for the aerated tea? Well, it depends. Okay, how much space should I save in the... Oh, for the walking onions. You know, you'll just have to see. You'll just have to see. So the walking onions, they grow light green onions, except they're even more hardy and prolific. So, and then you can either harvest the top sets or you can replant them. So, or if you have like a homestead, you can just plant them and let them sprawl by themselves. Let them fall down and then regrow by themselves. And you'll have a huge patch, so long as they don't have to compete with the weeds and the grasses. Let me pour a little bit more tea. And then the second question. The second question was, let's see here. Will I need a barrel for the aerated tea? Yes. It depends how big the garden is, but a 5-gallon bucket can work for some if you have a very small garden. But 55-gallon drum is how I'm going to show how to make it. And to make the video digestible and kind of short, I'm going to divide it up into 2 parts. The first part of the video, or the first video next week, is going to be about how to brew the tea. What ingredients, the base, and then all the additional ingredients based upon what you want to do with your garden or your plants. And then the following video, the very next video, if there's enough engagement or if there's enough interest in it, will be how to make the brewer. Because I make my own brewer out of PVC. It's actually very simple to make. Don't be intimidated by it. It's fun to make and very simple. So I will probably make that the very next video, but that needs to be its own like 8-minute video, how to do that. So what do you think? Let's see. Irie B says, is it okay if I just stir the compost tea vigorously every few hours? That will not work. Unfortunately, that will not work. Unless you had it hooked up to like a windmill of some type. If you got real clever with it, you could. And you made like a windmill and then a paddle, that kind of thing, you could. Or like turned from a creek or something like that, and you made a paddle, so it could be, but not just stirring it. That's not going to work. No. Everyone's seeing the aurora except here in Alaska, says AK Froggy. It currently isn't getting dark enough at night. Oh man, you're currently in the eternal sunset? Meyer Lemon says, yes, I'd like to know how to do that. Okay, good. So when you guys watch the video, just say yeah. If there's enough people that say yes, then I'll do that as the very next video. And I'll show you how to make it out of the PVC. Very cheap, $10. But you have to get the air pump, definitely. And I'll have a link to all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much all that you'll need, because it's liquid compost. I mean, you guys know how good things do with compost. And so we're going to make liquid compost, but then the additional stuff that you can choose to add based upon what you have and based upon your needs. Now, it's all about simplification. So you can simplify your entire gardening process by just applying one of these aerated teas once a week or even once every other week, and that's all that you will need for the whole season. So long as you have the other things right. The plants need 5 things: light, water, air, nutrients, and it all has to happen at the right temperature. So, this is going to take care of the nutrients aspect. Just like the Viking granular fertilizer, to you guys that have got it and stuff, it's not like, oh, you just add that and then nothing else matters. No, that only takes care of the nutrients. You still have to have the right light, water, air, and temperature. So they're all an equation. KKB08 says, thanks for your time and sharing wisdom. You are very welcome, my friend. Thank you for being here. So let's see, guys, if you're trying to find a good green bean this year to grow, I can't recommend highly enough the Kalima. And I've done so many of them over the years, and canning them, they turn to mush, or they just don't grow well in this area, or the strings are too stringy, or something like that. And so finally, I have settled on the Kalima green beans, and they can very well. And even if they remain real skinny. So instead of getting really fat and fibrous, they just get longer. But if you pick them when they're small, it's so good. And the plant will produce like a flush all at once, an abundance at once. So you can get some help and you can pick them all and can them or freeze them if you want to, but I like to can, and then they're done. And then you can use them all winter. So these hold up really well, yeah? And that's what they are from Baker Creek. So I highly recommend these. Plant them right after the garlic. If you have limited space, it's good to plant. So as soon as you pull up your garlic, it will be like in July, then you can plant fill the whole area with these Kalima green beans. They're a bush green bean, and you will get a bountiful harvest. And then you cut, once they're done, once the frost is almost coming, cut them at ground level, and then replant the garlic around Thanksgiving time, give or take, or Halloween time. Replant the garlic into that same bed. And so the roots of the bush bean are going to really help to supercharge the life in the soil with nutrients and root exudates, so that garlic is going to thrive. And guys, I should do an update video of some kind on this garlic, because you guys sent me a lot of different kinds of garlic last year. There might be 15 different kinds of garlic out there. And I planted all of it, and there's some very remarkable differences in the garlic. I mean, remarkable. The ones that had Spanish in the name or Roja in the name, things like this, are not doing well. The ones like from hot climates are not doing well. But the German white, the Italy Hill Giant, the Bates family garlic, of course, is doing really well. Those ones are just gangbusters, huge, thick stalks, really nice, big, vibrant plants. Whereas the Spanish red and all these other kind are just barely coming along. So, yeah. Ms. P says, Nate, how is your book coming along? It is totally 100% on hold at the moment, because there is so much to do during this season. So I'm finding that once the season is over in, October, probably, then I will stop production of videos on this channel completely, except for the lives every week. And then I will focus 100% on the book, getting it done. So yes, that is absolutely happening by next year, the book. Mm-hmm. So let's see here. And guys, look at this. Watch. You know what this is. See that? Listen. It's still rock hard. Okay? It is, May, and this thing is still nice and hard. Although you can tell it's starting to get a little bit desiccated. You can tell. It's not quite as heavy as it was. This is the Tahitian melon squash. This is serious amount of food, okay? This is serious. It stores all winter long, and it's full of nutrients, and it's delicious. Just make sure that you don't burn yourself out on it, okay? Because that happens a lot with the squash. You can burn yourself out on it. So you have to do it sparingly. Plan to have, 10 meals of squash over the winter time. That is sufficient. That's sufficient to, yeah. Yes, DLR. So this is sufficient. 10 meals with the squash over the wintertime is sufficient, but you don't need more than that. And yeah, so Tahitian melon squash, you guys will get some of those with the, you will get some of these seeds from these crops that we grow in the in the Valhalla walking onions, the Valhalla rating onions. So we still got some slots left because the crop is going to be really good this year. And so if you guys want some of those, they're Egyptian walking onions. We're going to rename them something else. And you can send the $40 payment to PayPal, Venmo, or CashApp. And when you do that, include the address you want them sent to. And then in September, we will, when they're ready to harvest, we will ship them all up at once. And then you guys can plant them immediately. Now, with each one of those orders, you will get at least a few of these Tahitian melon squash seeds that we've been growing for several years. So that will come with it. But that won't help for this year. That will only be for next year. But if you want to grow up a cattle panel, honey nut squash, guys. Honey nut squash. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I have a cattle panel arch in the back and next to the compost pile or the compost bin. So I'm just going to take a couple of these seeds and put them right there. Grow them basically out of the compost bin and up the trellis. It's going to work really well because I've grown these up trellises before, the honey nut, and they're a butternut. They're like in the butternut family, but they're nice and small. Instead of being a huge honking thing like this, they're just real. They're only like that big and like that big around, and they're really sweet. You cut them in half and roast them with a little bit of brown sugar and some cinnamon. Ooh, some nutmeg. Yes, very good. Guys, another thing. Now, these guys don't have an affiliate program, and I don't even get credit on Amazon they've opted out of the whole program. But still, nonetheless, this is the watering wand that you want. Okay, this is the best watering wand that there is, and the water flow is just magnificent. If you've got low, weak water pressure, though, you don't want this one. If you've got good, strong water pressure, you want this one. It is incredible. So yeah, the Drum watering wand. Right, look, that's the one that you want. Trust me, you will. I mean, not any of those little adjustable, stupid ones from Walmart and all that whoosh, they'll cut the plants in half and they break and all that. Get one of these. This is what the pros use. And get one of these and you will thank me later, no doubt. Man, when I was in Northern California, my whole life was about watering. And so they make like 8-foot watering wands, with steel nozzles on them. I had all different kinds of stuff strapped to the top of my Jeep. It was pretty good. Oh, Angela Adams just got here. I'm the girl that made the "Pardon me, ma'am, that's my Tahitian squash" caption. That is good. You're talking about the Travel Like a Viking channel. That was a good caption. Yes, very good, Angela Adams. Freebird says, Nate, you're the best with the best tribe on YouTube. That is for sure. The best tribe on YouTube, definitely. No doubt about that. Drama free, just all about exchanging the knowledge, all about just doing what works and being positive with each other. If you've got something negative and nasty to say, you just don't say it. That's wonderful. That's a skill. That's a virtue. Just to know when to hold your tongue if you need to. A lot of YouTube channels don't have that virtue. So, yeah. And there's so much knowledge to gain from you guys, Brent says, when is the ideal time to put winter squash in the ground? In the past, I've started the seeds June 1st almost. I mean, when that soil's nice and warm. Now, that being said, you can plant them right now. So anytime after the last frost, but they will grow a lot better when that soil's nice and hot. I mean, hot. They like hot soil, not just warm soil. So, yeah. A few more things, guys. If you haven't grown The sun torch, the Aztec sun torch. What is it? Tithonia, I think. I highly recommend it. They're absolutely beautiful. It's a sunflower, but there's like dozens of little red, this one's red, flowers like this on a big plant. And it's a big bushy plant, 6 feet tall, maybe 4 feet wide, with a bunch of these flowers on it. Super beautiful for like a border or something. It's not a real space-saving plant, but really nice and beautiful for attracting pollinators and all kinds of stuff. Highly recommend it. So I think that's it, guys. We are approaching the time, and this was a good talk, my friends. P.A. Morton says, I'm not up at 2:30 for nothing. Tribe is pretty legit. All right. Well, thank you for being here. So, all right, guys. Let's see here. If there's any burning questions. Ooh, yeah. Meyer Lemon says, love the patty pan. I grew it as a bush. No trellis. We'll do it again this year. Yes, definitely. The patty pans are wonderful. But guys, give it plenty of space. These things get like 7 feet across. The leaves can be this big. If you watch my electroculture results video and stuff, you can see my patty pans last year were fantastic. Super delicious. So I highly recommend it. Yeah? Let's see here. DLR says, I'm convinced I'm going to get one. My current hose nozzle is one of the cheap ones, cheap dribbly adjustable ones. Guys, those things are a joke. You just do yourself a favor and get you the nice, good, powerful watering wand. Yeah? In green so it doesn't stick out. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for everything. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. We will be on the Thrive Like a Viking channel Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So you can join us there where we're more spiritually minded about things. We don't talk about gardening on that channel. So if that's your kind of thing, hit us up over there. And mom computer, don't even get me started, my friend. Yeah. Okay, and remember, guys, do your shopping on Amazon through the link in the description, okay? It's the easiest way you can help the channel because of all the reasons I've already stated, all right? So thank you for everything, and we'll see you next time.